What's up everybody, Brian Kerber here with Take Aim TV. In this episode we're going to be doing an install video for the XS Minimalist Night Sights for the Glock. Included with this package is the front and rear sight and the red thread locker. Some things I recommend for this build is alcohol for degreasing, Q-tips, pads for cleaning, a metal file, the Glock front sight tool, and a punch tool set or a rear sight pusher. So the very first thing we're gonna do is clear this pistol and make sure it's not loaded, and then we are gonna remove the factory Glock sights. You will use a Glock front sight tool to remove that sight. That comes off really easy. And then for the rear sight, you'll have to either use a punch tool set, or for this video, I used a sight pusher. Now, sight pushers aren't overly expensive. You can find them for a wide range of price. The one I'm using is fairly cheap. It does work for this gun. This is a Glock 48. It's a little thinner for the Glock 19. I had to use a spacer to make it work, but it did make this install process extremely easy. And if you're gonna be putting on at least more than one set of sights on a gun, I recommend buying a sight pusher. After you have the factory sights removed, then clean the surface with alcohol and remove any grease that could be possibly on the gun. Now take the new front sight and remove the front sight screw. You are then going to put red thread locker on it and then install the front sight. I also put red thread locker on the top of the slide to make the front sight post more secure. You can either then eyeball it to make sure it's straight, or I actually use the micrometer to make sure it is perfectly measured. So pick a point on each side, measure it from the slide, and then if the numbers match, you know your sight is perfectly straight. Moving to the rear sight, you will then use finger pressure to slide it on at least 1/3 of the way. If for some reason it's not going on, do not force it. We're going to take it to a metal file and you drag it across the top, gently across that metal file. Then flip it 180 degrees and do it again. And then you will attempt to slide it back on. Once you get that at least 1/3 of the way, you could then use your punch tool set to hammer it home, or you could use the sight pusher. Once again, the sight pusher is a lot easier to make those micro adjustments. Once again, after you get your rear sight on, you could then eyeball to make sure it's straight, but this is where I really recommend using a micrometer. It's a fairly cheap tool you could buy on Amazon or wherever you want to buy one, and measure from the slide to where the rear sight is. Do it on both sides. If those numbers match, you know your sight is centered. This is where it could be a little bit back and forth with the sight pusher. You know, you may need to go back one way and back to the other to get that thing installed. If you're using a punch tool set for this portion of it, it can be very difficult to make finite movements while using a hammer and a punch. You will then put red thread locker on all the seams of where the sights connect to your gun. Allow it to sit for 15 minutes and then clean away any excess. You should then allow the Loctite at least 3 hours to cure. After you let it cure for 3 hours, give the sights a good cleaning. Use an oil or a lubricant to clean the sights. It helps the finish and the longevity, and make sure your sights look good for a long time to come. And then feel free, hit the range, train with your new sights, get out there and enjoy them. If you're looking for a review video on these sights, make sure you check out the link below in the description, and we'd be happy to help you out there with a review video on these sights. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, follow us on Carbon TV and Instagram. Remember, stay aware, carry often, and I'll see you next time.